Where is Nzao ya Musao? Thank you very much. Part funding for this summit began on a very casual conversation between myself and Nzao, and then we roped in Judy, and then Justice, and here we are. Judy, please proceed. Thank you very much. Let's welcome her with a clap.
All protocols observed. Good morning. My name is Judy Kaberia, Senior Project Manager, Frederick Naumann Foundation. First, I must thank Justice Lenaola, Justice Masengeli for all the hard work. It's not been an easy journey, but we are happy we are here today. And to the partners, I think when we come together, there is more impact. So we are happy to continue collaborating and working together because the common goal is for us to see impact. The common goal is for the good work of the people of the different countries that are here. It's always a big honor to speak at these events, meeting with you, the keepers of the rule of law. Greetings from Stefan Schott, our country director, who could not be here with us today, but at heart is here with us. He knows that this is happening. And I'll speak about 3 things, and after I speak, I'll go back, sit down, and listen. But before I get to it, let me quickly introduce the Frederick Naumann Foundation for Freedom. FNF stands for Liberal Values, and through our events and publications, we encourage people to take an active role in shaping the future of their societies. We say it's Frederick Naumann Foundation for Freedom because at its core, freedom means the right to live without fear of unfair punishment, to speak your mind without being silenced, and to know that when you step into a courtroom, justice is blind to anything but the truth. In other words, freedom and judicial independence go hand in hand. Without independent courts, freedom is at risk. When judges are free to make decisions based on the facts and the law, without pressure from those in power, justice remains impartial. This keeps governments accountable and ensures that the rights of every person are safeguarded. A society where judicial independence is respected is one where freedom can truly thrive. And now I get to my 3 points. First, it's about the incredible and insightful work of Thomas Milledge and Evans Ogada, who have put together a paper on judicial independence in Kenya. Later on, they'll be having a presentation and a panel discussion to discuss a report that I'm going to launch just shortly. Working with them on this paper helped us appreciate the heavy work that the judiciary in Kenya does and what the judges and magistrates face daily as they do their job. It is a difficult operating environment. From my time as a journalist talking to Dr. Willy Mutunga, talking to Justice Maraga, and the problems you faced, I still continue to see them, especially in our struggle to ensure there is independence in the work that we do. Just this year, Kenya's judiciary has faced gunfire in its own very courtrooms. A magistrate died. Judges have been attacked, not just physically, but verbally. The attacks have come from every side, from government-allied politicians, the government itself, opposition politicians, insiders in the criminal justice system, and even citizens. However, it is the attacks from politicians that we worry about more because they use the power of the state to undermine judicial officers when decisions go against their interests. The politicians respond in threats of budget cuts. They slash budgets sometimes. They block appointments and even public denunciations of judges and magistrates by name. There have also been the old tricks of arbitrary transfers, the bad apples within the judiciary, and the loud, prominent people within the criminal justice who always accuse judges of being corrupt. We all know this, and it keeps on going. Taken together, these are real attempts to weaken the judiciary's ability to act as a check to power, to interpret laws fairly, and to protect the rights of the people. Even more troubling are the perceptions of widespread corruption within the judiciary. When people believe that justice is for sale to the highest bidder, trust in the system crumbles. Public officials avoid accountability. The rule of law becomes nothing more than an empty promise. The second thing that I would like to mention today, when you look at Kenya's Constitution of 2010, a remarkable document by any measure says that the judiciary shall not be subject to the control of direction of any person of authority. But what is good is a written guarantee if the reality tells a different story. Despite these constitutional protections, we have seen how political interference, budgetary cuts, and even corruption erode the ability of Kenya's judiciary to function independently. I am happy to see former Chief Justices Willy Mutunga and David Maraga here, because as they can see, the problems they faced during their days in office are still with us. And we must thank them for showing us the way. Even in the face of the challenges, the judiciary has stood firm in many instances. It has ruled on behalf of the people, not the powerful. It has protected the socio-economic well-being of citizens, even when such decisions have angered those in power. Even when some refuse to honor court summons on the imagined power of their offices, the judiciary has pronounced itself very clearly. But this fight for justice is not without cost. Those in power push back, sometimes with more than words. They remind the judiciary of their power of the purse, and more recently, the power of the gun. This tension between the judiciary's constitutional mandates and the forces working erode it is a challenge familiar to many democratic societies. In Kenya, it has especially been a stark reality. And yet, despite these pressures, I believe the judiciary remains one of the strongest pillars in our defense of our democracy. Judges, magistrates, judicial officers, and everyone working the justice system must be independent and perceived as independent. The decision must not only be just, but seen as just. I know many of us in this room know all about this. But the question is, do you believe it? Do you live by it? This is a point which I am sure keeps most of us awake. The fight for judicial independence is a fight for the future, and a fight for the future of Africa. We must call on all Africans to stand up for this principle. When the judiciary is under attack, democracy is under attack. It is a struggle that requires constant vigilance and commitment. We must support the efforts of those brave judges and judicial officers who are doing their best to hold the line. And now to the third and my last point. We must remember that the judiciary's independence is not simply about safeguarding the courts. It's about safeguarding democracy itself. A judiciary that cannot stand apart from political influence cannot protect the rights of the most vulnerable. A judiciary that is morally polluted cannot deliver justice to anyone. Without an independent judiciary, there can be no true justice, no protection of human rights, no economic security, and no effective governance. A strong, independent judiciary is the foundation of democracy. It allows institutions to work properly and ensures that no one is above the law. And now, after that speech, basically you're summarizing the reports that we have written with Thomas Milledge and Evans Ogada. Kindly come to the front. We would like to hand them over to the Chief Justices, former and current, especially on this table. So basically, I've just read a summary of this report.
The elder. Ogada, you can be telling us what it's about as the hands over in a minute. What's it about?
Well, the report has looked at challenges to judicial independence in the country, including intimidation, budget cuts. We also have looked at issues of accountability, and we have identified several